We're back with more Tapped Out with Brendan Tobin and Sean Levine on the BetQL network.
And here we go, round two, hour number two. Welcome back to the BetQL network with Brendan Tobin. I am the sports machine, Sean Levine. Thank you to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, future welterweight champion Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, for joining the show. He's the NMF, the nicest mother effer, on the same night that we have the baddest, the BMF belt. And then coming up in a little while, we've got Jim Rodriguez coming up. You tell me, BT, who's more of an NMF? Is it Jim or is it Wonderboy? Both very nice guys.
Man, that's
close.
Jim is very nice, but Wonderboy's eyes are so dreamy. I think I'm going to go with Wonderboy.
They really are, man. All right, let's get off the eyes and back into the world of fighting. Let's do a little game of bet it or forget it. Tony Ferguson will retire after the fight. Win, lose, or draw. This is the last time we see Tony in the UFC. Bet it or forget it.
I mean, if you're giving me all those scenarios and you're saying that no matter what, I'm going to say forget it, because I say if he wins, he's going to keep going. If he loses, I think he's going to keep going. I don't know. This guy doesn't seem like retirement really is in his plans. I don't know. I feel like it would have been there already. I would have thought, losing an Nate Diaz would have been the way, but no, apparently not. He seems very keen on keeping going. You think he's going to be done?
I think he should have been done probably 2 or 3 fights ago, but that's another story for another day. It feels a lot like the end of the career for a guy like another Hall of Famer, Cowboy Cerrone, where you look up and you're like, dang, his prime was unbelievable. He was fighting for titles. In the end, it just came really quick. I think that the UFC loves Tony Ferguson. I think in a moment of clarity, if you ask Dana White who his 5 most loyal, 5 most favorite fighters are, he'd probably name Tony Ferguson, which is why I would say no also. Like, my answer is he probably should retire based on health and based on his skill set. But I think Dana and the promotion loves him so much that he's got that rare ticket that he could basically cash in his retirement ticket whenever he wants.
Yeah, and I mean, he is great promoting himself, promoting a fight. He's a great talker. You're never not interested in it because, like, look, we have this discussion. Even when he was like, maybe the most dangerous man to never take on Khabib. Then he was the guy we always wanted to see be in there for contention again. And now it's like all the discussion is, well, should he be doing this? What's going on outside the cage with him? So he's just one of those guys. Like, you're always interested in Tony Ferguson no matter what, which leads to, it's usually harder for you to go away because you'll get primetime spots and people are going to, if you're going to get those types of opportunities, I don't see the appeal, I guess, in him walking away, other than his health, if he keeps getting, kicked in the head and things like that.
It's not good for the health. Plus 260. He's an underdog tonight against Bobby Green. You can't find this bet at BetMGM, but I'm just curious. What if this was a real bet? You could take neither guy to retire, or you could have the combination. You could have either Tony Ferguson or Derek Lewis retiring tonight. Even money. Which way you playing it?
I'm going to see neither. I don't think that they're going to retire. I don't see I definitely don't see a scenario where they're both going to retire. I just think that if you had to give me the odds of them both, unless, like, man, they would have to both get knocked out in the first round. It's so embarrassing. Like, that's what it would be. I don't see that happening. So I just don't see a place where they both end their careers tonight. I forget it.
You don't see Derek Lewis getting knocked out in the first round, even though that's happened in 3 out of his last 4 fights. All right, that's fine. We move on. The winner of the BMF belt will lose to Islam. Bet it or forget it.
Wow.
And this is assuming, I guess, that Islam beats Charles Oliveira, because that fight's already lined up. So let's just, for the sake of this conversation, Islam keeps the belt. If it's Dustin or Justin tonight, they both would lose to Islam.
My inclination is to say bet it, because I think maybe I'm giving the rub there of Islam Khabib, because we've seen what Khabib did to both Dustin and Justin, and he kind of worked them. If you told me
Islam ain't
if
Khabib,
I had to
though.
pick one,
I think we've gotten that point, right? Like, we know that much. Islam's great, but he ain't Khabib.
He's not, but look, I don't know if we're dismissing him because Volkanovski was great against him, and Volkanovski might just be one of the best guys walking the planet.
Sure.
What he did against Charles Oliveira was being a buzzsaw. If I had to pick one of those three guys, Oliveira, Justin, or Dustin, to beat him, I think I would pick Dustin. And I'm going based off of, like, if he can get in the striking exchange. We saw him maybe get a guillotine close on Khabib, so I'm kind of doing some stuff there. I can't go Oliveira. I already saw him lose too easily, and I don't know. Justin just seems like he kind of blipped out in that fight against Khabib, but that one wasn't even close. There wasn't even a moment for him.
Khabib lost a round in his entire career, and really you could argue that. I don't know if you caught after Tom Aspinall dominated in 90 seconds last Saturday night, Mike Bisping took the microphone. And obviously, Bisping's a British guy, so he's kind of always had the back of all those guys, and good for him. But he said that Tom Aspinall would work John Jones. Bet it or forget it.
Yeah, forget it. I think Aspinall's great. You've been on the Aspinall bandwagon for a while, but he's gonna work John Jones. I mean, like, come on, dude. Like, that's very strong. Just saying that he's gonna beat John Jones is almost an outlandish statement. The fact that you say we've never seen John Jones worked in his career, so Tom Aspinall is gonna do it. And I like Tom Aspinall. I think he is thrilling. I think he probably has if John isn't long for the division, he probably has a future as the champion in the weight class. Although, man, Sergey Pavlovich is scary. But no, it's too strong. Too strong from Michael Bisping to say that.
After the fight, Aspinall essentially called out the winner of Pavlovich and Cyril Gane. Kind of a weird call out on the path to John Jones. I don't know. I found that a little, like, just might as well at that point just skip it, call out John, and see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's probably just I think what is smart on him though. He's fighting the other Sergey. He's fighting Spivak, which he's already beaten Spivak, which is that's what's weird about it. If he called out Pavlovich, I thought that would be badass to me, but I don't think nobody calls out Pavlovich. It's ridiculous.
They don't want to. That guy. I didn't even feel like calling him by name 30 seconds ago. I called him the wrong name, so I'm scared of his ass.
But I found the Gane Spivak call out weird too. I was like, all right, well, we saw Gane. Gane needs like a little bit of polishing going on. Like he needs to kind of refurbish the brand. Needs to win. Needs to get it right. So, yeah, I thought that was a very strange call out by Tom Aspinall, but got the attention of John Jones. John responded. So good on Aspinall. He did do the right thing to at least poke the bear, the top dog.
Aspinall looked so good before he got hurt. His odds were so one-sided. He went off to minus 500 last Saturday, man, at BetMGM. And then we saw why. It took him just over a minute to finish that fight. So he is the dude that I thought he was when we started this show a couple of years ago. I think he is the future heavyweight champion. Does he go through John Jones to get that belt? We'll find out. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, friend of the show, the Boogie Woman, not going to come back. She was teasing a return, but at this point she says that her mixed martial arts career is over. Bet it or forget it. Her fight versus Wei Li, top 5 fight all time.
Bet it. I mean,
that was best women's fight I've ever seen. Best women's fight I've ever seen. But I'm talking about all time.
Yeah, I'll bet it. Like, I think that was just, you think about the way she looked after that. It was crazy. I think that, what she looked like from that point to, what she looked like in our interview with her. It's crazy that the body can recover from something like that. But yeah, I am glad though she's not returning. I think it's good. There's always that temptation, but I do think that she's made her stamp on the sport. There's no need, and I think from her standpoint, she's so crazy competitive. We saw how tough it was for her to deal with the losses to Rose. Like, if you're not at the top, what is the point to just stick around? She's proven everything there is to prove.
Well, where do you think women's UFC is right now? Because if Joanna Jędrzejczyk's done and Ronda's not coming back and Rose isn't the champion and Amanda's retired and Valentina's not the same, I mean, where's the state of the union on this whole thing?
Yeah, it's a fair point. They are in a bit of a new wave right now. And I mean, the hell, people are talking about a Ronda Rousey comeback. Like, that's, I think you made that
Everybody
up.
hates Molly McCann all of a sudden.
Whatever you started, wherever you made up that rumor, it did take off like wildfire. And people are clamoring for Ronda Rousey back, and it's like, really? Like Ronda's been gone for a long time. I don't know, man. It's a good question. I do think that, there are big I mean, look, hell, even Kayla Harrison's coming off of a loss on PFL. Like, there's a lot of the top women aren't as invincible as we thought, but in a way that's while it's maybe not the best for business because the top dogs are losing, it is a good sign because it means that other women in the sport are evolving. And like we saw what that was like when it caught up to Ronda Rousey, and now it's catching up to others too. And I think that should breed some really, really strong product. Look at like a woman like Erin Blanchfield or somebody like that who's doing it, or Tatiana Suarez finally kind of rounding out after injury. I think that's the exciting thing about it, is there should be some fun, exciting ones down the line because of the pioneers.
I think the ladies need the superstars. I think parity with the guys is okay, but when it comes to the ladies, especially right now, you need to have an Amanda or a Cyborg or a Ronda Rousey or at least like a Gina Carano, and I'm not sure that we see any of those ladies out there right now.
Hell,
All right,
even
pay-per-view 291 tonight is Holly too. Yeah, same thing. We got Sean O'Malley in the next pay-per-view taking on Aljamain Sterling. Bet it or forget it. I don't think that pay-per-view is going to get as many buys as tonight does.
Ooh.
This card's just better. Top to down, top to bottom, I think this card's better.
Well, if that is the case, I would like an apology from Sean O'Malley because he was very mean to me.
You're not going to get one.
I won't get one. I actually hope we get him on before we get that fight. But I'm going to bet it.
Has it had the buzz you expected,
like I said,
honestly?
No, it hasn't. But I will say, in their fairness, this was a double pay-per-view month, so I don't know where the time is to really hype it. You know what I mean? Like, we've already had a pretty crazy month as far as fighting is concerned, with 2 monster pay-per-views. So I don't think that's their fault. I think they can amp it up. And I do think that this is a little bit of a proving ground for Sean. Like, we're going to see what the star power is because, look, Lord knows Aljamain Sterling has not been the most popular champion in the world. I feel like you're in Boston. Everyone's going to be rooting for him to win that fight. So this is going to be a big test of Sean O'Malley's star power and what that means, because it does feel very much like he'll be carrying a lot of the promotional burden there, which if, he believes in his star power as much as he does, then hopefully he will be able to outdraw this pay-per-view. But I feel like this pay-per-view has gotten a lot of love from people for not having a title on the line.
O'Malley's a pretty big underdog right now at BetMGM. You can get him at like plus 260, basically the same money you could have got him against Petr Yan. Now that we're getting a little bit closer to that fight, do you feel better or do you feel worse about O'Malley? Because I know early on we were both on Aljo.
I'm still on Aljo just because I think Aljamain Sterling, even though people don't love watching him or they don't like the way he's carried himself or whatever the reason is, and his wins have been very, very close. I just think that it is a big step up for Sean O'Malley, and like credit to him because he was going about his career the way that he had. He got the win over Petr Yan, but I don't know how good that win is looking as much because Yan, I do feel like, has been a bit on the decline. So did he catch him on the way down, or that's an interesting question. But I don't think anything's really happened to change my opinion. I still think that Aljo is a deserving favorite. I'd still probably think I'm going to bet on him to win that fight. But if Sean O'Malley does win the title, I do think, to the moon. The guy should probably be the one of the poster guys for the sport. It's just he's got to do it. Like, it can't just be all talk and Twitter.
I think he becomes the most popular. And I'm not even trying to like be funny here. I know we've had this conversation a few times and O'Malley reacted and that was cool. He's got the look. If he also has the belt at that point and he has a social media following, I'm not saying that he's more well-known or anything like that or a better fighter than John Jones. But if we're talking about, as Chael Sonnen used to say, the class is current events. If we're talking about the here and now, he is that guy if he wins the belt. So we'll talk about that in the next month as we lead our way to UFC 292. Let's talk a little bit of boxing. We got about a minute left before a break. Don't forget, tonight is Spence versus Crawford. So if you like fighting, you've come to the right place. In the middle of the week, the monster, Inoue, TKO of Stephen Fulton. I mean, better to forget it. This guy's the best fighter in the world and nobody knows who he is.
I forget it because I don't agree that he's the best fighter in the world. I think that he is knocking on the door of that. But I would agree, yeah, nobody knows who he is because he's fighting at 5 AM, but I don't
Right?
see, here's the thing that we
On a
always
Tuesday.
this is where yeah, but I think here's the thing that we misinterpret is like, I don't think he cares. I think he likes being a rock star in Japan, and I don't know what we're gonna be able to do to change that. I think it's almost a little bit like the British fighters, like they love boxing almost more than Americans do on some level. So what's gonna get him over here to draw them? It'd probably take like a Tank Davis fight to do that.
Yes or no? Did George Kambosos win that fight last week?
No.
I didn't think you won either. Coming up next, the Method to the Madness, UFC 291. Let's make some money together right here on the BetQL Network.